this morning, we're going to hear about Bryan Waters and his project, the Q-Tube, which is a really interesting project. Bryan's based in Carlisle. He's sitting there in the Guild, which apparently is a very nice place to work in. One or two people knew about that. I didn't. And Bryan's going to tell us about what he's been doing. And also we're going to see a bit of film which helps explain the project that Bryan's working on as well. I also thought, because we had the sad news yesterday of Dave Myers, one half of the Hairy Bikers, he died this week. And I've just pulled together a few words and a few images and a bit of film of Dave Myers and CACN talking about what they're doing as well. So I thought I might just share that, because he was a Barovian, as we probably all know. He was from Barrow. And it was just one of those heartwarming bits of television that I didn't tune in especially, but when I bumped into it, I always enjoyed watching them together. So I just thought we'd mark his passing with a few reflections there as well. And also just to look ahead to some of the training coming up through the network. We'll just have a reflection on that. Kate's going to talk to us about that as well. So that is the plan for this morning. And do feel free to chip in and put stuff in the chat, etc., as we go through the call. Fine. So let's start with Bryan then. And by the way, Bryan, Amy will play in the clip for you. So when you want that clip played, just let Amy know. So I've just mentioned who Bryan is. Really interesting chap who I first had a coffee with probably about 6 months ago in Carlisle, when our paths met. And it's been really interesting to see what he's been doing and what has happened in the last 6 months or so as well. So Bryan, the floor is yours to tell us about what it is you do, and to talk a bit about what you're doing at the moment as well. So you're very welcome to be here.
Well, thank you very much. And it's really nice to be amongst you and amongst such a talented bunch. I feel quite intimidated. So I've got this wall of faces expectantly staring at me. So it might be appropriate to perhaps start with the film, because otherwise I'll probably say stuff that's in the film and then you'll be bored out of your wits watching the film.
So the film is, we've downloaded it. It will judder a little bit because it's coming over Zoom, but Damien's going to play it the best we can, and let's play the film.
Q-Tube provides cinematic, educational and networking resources and opportunities for a global network of thousands of composers and educators. Our library of unscored videos for composers and sound designers covers a wide range of genres, including documentaries.
In one of the harshest environments on Earth, adaptation is essential for survival.
Animation.
What are you guys? We are sprites. We take care of the animals, plants, birds, nuts, bugs.
And drama.
Life. It's difficult. It can get too much. Leave you behind.
Score Relief is our annual film scoring competition and charity fundraiser.
Hi everyone, Michael Danning here. I want to thank everyone who supported and submitted to last year's Q-Tube Score Relief. I'm very excited to be part of this year's Q-Tube's second Score Relief film scoring competition and fundraiser.
The culmination is the winning composer's music being performed and recorded by Northern Film Orchestra in Manchester. We've also launched Q-Tube Pictures, producing professional films for composers and sound designers.
Have you any idea why I gave you this job? No.
We almost saw it twice. Yeah, so I wanted to cram in as much as I could in a very short time. So it's probably prompted more questions than answers. But essentially, the QTube is um, a community and platform of film composers and sound designers. But we're increasingly getting into film production ourselves, and the idea being that we produce films which are specifically for composers and sound designers to access for practice, for coursework if they're doing some kind of degree or something, and for developing a portfolio. Because one of the biggest challenges for up and coming composers is that chicken and egg thing. How do you get a job without a portfolio? How do you get a portfolio without having done any jobs? So we sort of try and bridge that gap a little bit. And there are multiple reasons why we're going into film production. One of them is to sort of increase the sort of value and uniqueness of the library of materials that we have for composers. So it gives us that kind of competitive edge, if you like, but also it's going to help us, I think, to make connections and make inroads into the filmmaking world, so that we can then start connecting our composers and sound designers with real film projects and be a real bridge between those two. Because believe it or not, the filmmakers and the composers don't really talk to each other until they have a very specific project to work on. There are not many forums where they actually come into contact with each other. So that's what we're trying to do. So we're pretty small, we're pretty young. I'm not, but the project is pretty young. And but we're getting there. You know, we've got thousands of composer members around the world. We've just run our third score relief competition, which is a film scoring competition, completely free to enter. This year we got about 400 entries from around the world, about 44 different countries. In previous iterations, we've had up to a maximum of about 1,800 entries from our community. And we've raised thousands of pounds through Score Relief for charity. Our charity partner is an organisation headquartered in Manchester called In Place of War. And what they do is they go into places that have been affected by conflict, and they help them to sort of, they help grassroots projects actually. So they don't go in with their own projects. They find projects that need support to regenerate cultural life within communities after this type of situation. And they provide them with finance, with equipment, with expertise, with training, mentoring, all that kind of stuff. So it's very much supporting projects that are already kind of conceived and just lack some kind of resources to bring them into fruition. So yeah, we're very happy to partner with them. I think it resonates reasonably well with what the QTube is about. So yes, that's essentially the QTube in a nutshell.
So do you have a musical background, Bryan?
Only an enthusiastic amateur. I've never been a professional musician, no.
And how come in Carlisle? Is that just home for you, or is that just coincidence, or is it the centre of the movie making world these days?
It will be very soon. No, so I was living abroad, and I decided to come back to the UK for personal reasons, and I had sort of carte blanche working remotely. I had carte blanche really. I had connections with Cumbria in as much as when I was growing up, we had a chalet out at St. Bees, and we used to come up during every school holiday right on the coast there in St. Bees. So I've always loved Cumbria, and I've born in Manchester, but we'd moved away when I was very young, so I'd always wanted to get back to the north. So it's a combination of things really, and it's quite cheap to live.
All right. So just getting back to the mechanics of how your project works.
Yeah.
You're looking for composers and film and music makers to use your facilities to make a score for some video or film production. Is that right?
Yeah, perhaps I can paraphrase just for clarity. So we have a library of clips, and composers and sound designers can join. They can pay a subscription. It'll give them access to this library, and they can just download whichever of these short video clips they would like, and they cover that range of genres that was referred to in the video. and they can just do with it what they want, actually. But essentially what they generally want to do is to add music to it and then post it on their YouTube, post it on their social media, and ultimately incorporate it into a portfolio or a show reel, which will then be used to try to get jobs.
Okay. And tell us a bit more about this Tara Fitzgerald film, which I know was made last year down in the south, I think.
That's right, yeah. So I'm afraid, yes, I'm afraid we decamped to the south for that. Sorry, everybody. But that's because I was the only one based in the north in the project. So we decided that it would be a really cool idea. It was very naive of us. It would be a really cool idea if we made a film, never having made a film in my life. And we thought, yeah, let's do that. And so we met with some young filmmakers who were just about to graduate. They'd done some really good work. It was all connections, and they were excited about the idea. And then we met with a production company based in London and said, you know, they were also friends of friends, and said, look, we got this idea. Would you be happy to sort of act as a sounding board for us, because we don't really know what we're doing? And they were very happy to do that. So we partnered with this company called 4 of Ones Productions in London. We got these young writers, directors, cinematographer, and so on board. And we ran a Kickstarter with our community. And we raised money from the community. The budget that we raised was about £12,000. We wrote a script. We did it slightly the wrong way around. We got the budget and wrote a script. And then we went into pre-production, production, and post-production. I don't want to bore you with the details, but the reason we got, or the way that we got Tara, very fortuitously, was that 4 of Ones, this co-production company, the owner of that business was an old school friend of Tara Fitzgerald. So we were extraordinarily fortunate to get Tara on board for that project. At very little cost. I probably shouldn't say that, but yeah, it didn't cost us too much, luckily. So,
And that turns into about a 15-minute film, I think, didn't it? About 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I've seen that film, and it's full of sound and music and a score, a film score, if you like. And so again, the purpose of that film, the purpose of you making that film, Bryan, was what?
Okay, so when we'd made the film, what we did was during the post-production, really, we gave all of our community the opportunity to bid for the opportunity to be the official composer on the film, because what we wanted to do was send it out to festivals, and you can't send it to festivals without music. So, well, you could, but we didn't want to. So we ran this kind of competition, if you like, to find a composer within the community. We ended up choosing this guy, this really young composer from Finland, and which is nice because it kind of reinforces the international nature of our community. And he did a fantastic score. I don't know what you thought of it, but we were really happy with it, and sent it off to the festival. So that's done and dusted. We've got the official score. We're going to be sharing the film soon on our YouTube channel, so you're all invited to join us for that. And there now we can use the film, remove the music, and do whatever we like with it. We could chop it into bits and put it into our library, or we could put the entire film into our library. We could use it as the basis for other competitions. So that's what we're going to do with it as a resource. But of course, the process of making the film also has other benefits in terms of me understanding how films are made, understanding what some of the different roles are, making connections with 4 of Ones and people like that, and Tara Fitzgerald, and having a calling card really for us in the filmmaking world, which we didn't have up to this point. So we can sort of go to networking events, if you like, and things like that with something actually to talk about.
Okay, Amy.
Yeah, I think you've kind of answered the question that I was thinking of already, but I just wondered if, say, for that particular film, once you've got it completed, and then if you sort of remove the score and let other people score it, would you have those available online so that people could view different people's compositions? Because it'd be like, music scoring is such a big driver to sort of the emotion in film, and I think it'd be so fascinating to be able to look at, say, 5 different people's takes on. I would find that absolutely fascinating to be able to watch that through how different people approach it.
Yeah, it really is fascinating, and that is one of the great things about when the composer world leverages our resources, then you do get that opportunity. And the way that it works is that for each clip in our library, we sort of choose or assign a hashtag, and we suggest that people use that hashtag when they post it on social media and on YouTube especially. And then if you go to YouTube and search for that hashtag, then you'll see all the different rescores, as we call them, of that particular clip. And it really is interesting, yeah. And as you say, it really does illustrate the dramatic difference that the music can make to the sort of experience of watching a piece of video, yeah.
Thanks, Amy. Barbara.
Hello, Brian. I'm asking you just about another from a slightly different perspective. So, my granddaughter, she's studying film in London at the moment. She's a second year student, but she's Carlisle-based. After that, I know I was working with her quite recently on a film that she was making, and one of the issues for her was to do with the soundtrack, and then. She could use a certain amount of soundtrack of stuff for if it was an assessment, but if she's wanting to put stuff forward elsewhere out in the world. So are you useful for someone like her? So it's kind of the other way around. I'm gathering that your clips are film clips, so you're the other way around, but are you useful for somebody who perhaps is looking for somebody to do the soundtrack?
We are useful, and we're trying to sort of, so the QTube actually has been running since 2020, but all of the energy until fairly recently has gone into growing our composer network. But what we're trying to do now is to raise our profile amongst filmmakers, including students, and make them aware that we've got this massive community of composers, and many of them would be very happy to make connections with people like your daughter and actually collaborate on bringing something to fruition that they could both then share on their social media and within their sort of portfolio. So yeah, definitely. One of the ways to do that is we have a Discord server. Now, Discord is I don't know how many of you know, but it's a sort of forum or chat platform. And we have a Discord server dedicated to the QTube. And mostly at the moment, it's populated by composers. But if a filmmaker or somebody like your daughter, a student filmmaker, were to come onto the Discord server, that would be a good way for them to find somebody to work with. Yeah, definitely. And we're looking to sort of, add some kind of search tools or something to our website to enable filmmakers to come and find composers on certain whatever criteria, whether it's location or price maybe, or specialist instrument and that type of thing, specialist genre and that type of thing. Yeah.
Great. I'm seeing her this weekend. I'll mention you too.
Okay.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara. Thank you. Patch.
Hello. Is the goal of the QTube primarily for portfolio stuff, or are you also moving in towards being able to help composers get paid work, as in like it's all well and good getting the first step, but then that second step after that, once you've got that network, is it that you're looking to get into helping composers get paid work as well?
We want to, yes. And one of the main ways that I think that we can do that is by making the filmmaking world aware that we exist, trying to attract them to places like our Discord server, and implementing some kind of search tool so that filmmakers can come onto the platform and search and find composers. And also, potentially, we could work with filmmakers and run some kind of auditioning process. And maybe further down the line, we will maybe even set up some kind of agency where we actually cherry pick some of the composers that we really, really like and actually try to get placements for them on projects. But that's going to be much further down the line, I would imagine.
Phil's put a very interesting question into chat, which we'll come to in a second. But Marvin, do you want to ask your question first of all?
Yeah, just make sure I'm off mute this time. I suppose just touching on what you've just said there as well, Brian, preempting what the future could look like, you could potentially think of licensing agreements as well to kind of aid your composers and your soundies essentially to assist in that financial aspect. But I'm just wondering if at the moment in this current kind of situation you find yourself in, is there any kind of licensing agreements that you have in place procedurally for when it comes to project scope beyond film festivals, or if it comes to a commercial level, what is the kind of scope for that at the moment?
I don't. Sorry, Marvin. I don't fully understand the question.
No, it's okay. Sorry, I think I asked things in a very weird way. So right now, this kind of acts as a platform to support rising scorers and soundies and sound designers and composers.
Yeah.
If a project is picked up commercially in its own essence, the way that it is, and it's to be distributed, is there any licensing agreements that you have within your own processes to protect the sound element for these composers and soundies, if a project is to be picked up commercially? Hypothetically.
Yeah. So at the moment, we don't really run any commercial projects. So we really provide assets that composers can take and run with. And then obviously, if they leverage that to actually get some work, which I really hope, well, I know that they do, then that's really down to them to agree with the filmmaker or the production company. We do, yeah, we at the moment, we're not really sitting there as a sort of facilitator for projects as such. We are really just providing a library of assets, and then the composers can run with it. I mean, we do a bit more than this, I should say, but I'm trying to focus on the nub of it, really. But we are sort of touching on education as well a little bit.
No, it sounds like an incredible initiative, especially for people that are trying to break into the industry from that angle. Specifically, the notion of being able to create pieces, video production pieces for sound, or your sound designers and composers. I think that's a very interesting kind of approach to take on to accelerate progress and just notoriety. It sounds like an awesome project that you guys have got going on there.
Yeah, it seems to be going down quite well. I mean, we're starting to make inroads into education now. We're getting places like the Royal College of Music and Leeds Conservatoire joining up so that they can give access to their students, and that's really one of the main focuses at the moment, I think, for us, because obviously there are hundreds, if not thousands, of those places around the world. So that would be great for us, really. But one of the other things that we can do with the film, going back to Tom's question, actually, was that we can use that film ourselves as the basis of doing some educational materials, of course. And one of the things that we're going to do, I've got a kind of pet composer that does a lot of stuff with me. And what we're going to do is we're going to create like an episodic series where we show the whole process of rescoring that film from start to finish. And like things like that are quite useful, I think.
Okay, thanks, Marvin. Phil, that sort of picks up your question as well. Do you want to just tell us what your thoughts were?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. As I said in chat, I've made a lot of short films and worked with a lot of talented up and coming composers, most of them based here in Carlisle, and they've gone on to bigger and better things. There's a composer friend of mine who's at the Royal College of Music at the minute, so that's great.
Is that Sean?
That's Sean. Yeah, he's tremendously talented. So you're working with Sean, I'm sure.
Yeah, I know Sean. Sean's involved a little bit with the QTube. Yeah, we've had a good few coffees together. Yeah.
Well, he's regaled us with some of his amazing piano recitals and things at our Speakeasy open mic night as well. But yeah, I was just wondering what sort of fees that you mentioned, a subscription fee. Is that a one-off, or is the QTube based on an annual subscription model? And how does that work?
So it's based on a monthly subscription, and you can pay for a year up front if you like, and essentially that's it.
Yeah. What sort of
just
price tag are we looking at?
Just a tenner a month.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. Because we're looking at, we think it's something that there's quite a wide base of people that would potentially be interested. So, the model really is to try to make it as much as we can available to as many people as we can.
It's a really good initiative. And we had a book launch last night. One of the first people through the door was a young guy. He said, "You're a filmmaker, aren't you, Phil, as well as a publisher?" I said, "Yes." And he sent me a link to this new film they made, and it's a beautiful looking film, but the sound design is such an important, integral part of it. And I think you giving young composers and sound designers an opportunity to showcase what they can do is all to the good. So
excellent.
Cheers. Thank you, Phil. If there's no more questions, then I think we should just wrap that there. I know Amy's put a link into the QTube's website into chat, theqtube.com. So if you want to find out a bit more about the QTube and how it works and a bit more about Bryan, I'm sure that's sitting there as well. I think this is a world that is quite new to me, about thinking about film scores and how films are put together and the importance of music and how actually people get a chance to hone their skills. And this seems like a great Cumbrian-based opportunity for people to explore that a bit further and to do that really well, thanks to Bryan's organisation. So thank you, Bryan, for sharing all that with us. And if, again, if there's an opportunity that comes along for people to watch that longer cut of the Tara Fitzgerald film, if I can call it that. It's a great little film set in a care home. And it's, I won't say any more than that, but it's a really nice film. And as I say, to watch it and think about the sound and the music was a totally different experience for me, but it was a really interesting way of viewing the film. And stay in contact with the network, Bryan, as well. There's all sorts of people here on this call and who will probably watch the recording, who I think will be interested to get in contact with you. And as Marvin says in chat there, really awesome to hear about this brilliant process.
Brilliant. Thank you, everyone. And thanks, Tom, for inviting and enabling me to come. It's really nice to meet all of you. And I can see hopefully there's going to be some little bits of follow-up and maybe crossover and opportunities.
For sure. That often happens off the back of these calls. All right, well, stay with us because I'm going to share a few thoughts about Dave Myers shortly, a proud Cumbrian. But first of all, I'm just going to ask Kate to just reflect on one or two things coming up that people may or may not know about as far as the network is concerned and where you might want to get involved in one or two things. So, Kate, over to you.
Yes, there really is a smorgasbord of personal development opportunities on the CACN website and on our Eventbrite page. Lots of new things added recently that I wanted to show you. So first of all, many of you will have taken part in our sort of little sector specific, discipline specific events. And we've got two coming up, one on the 4th of March, which is Monday, for writers with Katie Hale. You can join that one by clicking on this link on Eventbrite. The next one is for musicians on the 14th of March with Gilly Jarman and Dave Camlin. So those are really going very well, and there's lots of good things coming of them, not least people supporting each other. Okay, so those are the meetups. We've added more training recently. Specifically, there is the essentials of marketing training. So if you are, if part of your job or role or life is promoting events, activities, organizations, or your own work, this is definitely for you if you're not already a marketing professional. And let's face it, not many of us are, but most of us are involved in promoting something at some point in our working lives. So these are meant for people who are not marketing professionals, but need to have those skills. They are in person, one at the Quaker Tapestry Museum in Kendal and one at the Beacon in Whitehaven. You can sign up to those on Eventbrite. I think they are all-day sessions. Amy, correct me if I'm wrong. Are they half-day with lunch? I think they might be.
Yeah, it's a full day for those two. So you're getting, all the expertise from Helen Palmer, who's doing that, and you will get your lunch as well. Yeah.
Yeah, the trainer is somebody called Helen Palmer, who has loads of experience in the culture sector promoting marketing and communications. So I'd really recommend those. They are, as with all our training sessions, currently supported by our Arts Council funding. We try and keep the price as low as possible, but if it is beyond you at the moment, please don't let that put you off. Please contact us via this Eventbrite link and let us know if you need support with the cost. It's totally fine. We want people to be able to make it. The next workshop is on the 27th of March, and that is around our response, the cultural sector's response to the environmental crisis. And that's with Rob and Harriet Fraser. It's the second one, which will be effectively is a re-showing of the replaying of the first one. It's not a sort of follow-on. It's just we're rerunning it because it was successful and popular and more people wanted to attend. Then we're into April, and the next training session is the Essentials of Fundraising. This one is online. It's a half-day session with Lizzie Poulton, who is a very successful and well-regarded specialist in fundraising. And again, it's for people who are possibly at the start of their fundraising journey or have it as part of what they do and need a refresher. It's very much sort of start from the beginning, look at the essentials, look at the basics. So those are what we've got coming up in terms of get-togethers and training. But I also wanted to
Can I
mention.
just jump in, Kate? Sorry.
Yes.
Patch has just put into chat there. The writers' meetup is listed as sold out on Eventbrite. Is there likely to be more space available or returns? Didn't realise it was this Monday.
I would
Yeah.
still sign up because we've got a waiting list. And yeah, often people will drop out, but Chris may well be sending the Zoom codes to everyone. So do just put yourself on the waiting list if you're interested, I would say.
Thanks, Patch. Off you go, Kate.
Yeah, okay. The next thing we wanted to mention to you is our next big meet where we all get together in person. It's going to be on the 1st of May, and it's at Reged, as a place that's relatively easy for us to get to, all of us to get to, although clearly nowhere in Cumbria is that easy for everybody. It is going to focus, as we always do, we choose a sort of theme or a point of discussion. This one is going to focus on how we get smarter at generating income to support the work we do, whether that's for you as an individual freelance creative practitioner or for the organisation you run or work for. Our keynote speaker is Bernard Ross, who is a sort of international consultant, but importantly, he is director of the National Arts Fundraising School, which is a really highly regarded organisation and has been training people in cultural organisations to be better fundraisers for decades. I did it 18 years ago, which is now making me feel rather old. And I have raised literally millions of pounds since. So if you've never done the National Arts Fundraising School, I'd recommend that. But if you can't get on the course, you can come and meet Bernard Ross and listen to him talking about what's working right now in fundraising and income generation for people like us and our organisations and our practices. So that's the 1st of May. We'll also have some sort of case studies of what's going really well for people around Cumbria, and there'll be lunch, of course. And more importantly than any of that, a chance to chat and meet up. And we always find that good things come of that when we get together in person. So those are the main things coming up for us, and we'll keep you posted when we add more, because there is more in the pipeline at present. Any questions or concerns? Stick your hand up. Nope, that's good. Back to you, Tom.
Thank you,
In the
Kate.
studio.
And Sue's just popped into the chat there. She's giving an illustrated talk at Ambleside on the 5th of March, next Tuesday. Cumbrian vernacular poets, part of the romantic literary canon, ? And she'll be reading, and not only reading, she'll be singing as well. Some dialect works and the likes of dialect poets Robert Anderson, John Stagg, and Susanna Blameyer. And there's a nice link in chat there if you fancy that. And someone's just put a little heart next to it as well, which is very nice. By the way, it was leap year day yesterday, wasn't it? I don't know if anyone was born on 29th of February, but if you were, happy leap year birthday. Sue, that looks great. Thank you, Sue. You just carry on doing all that amazing stuff, Sue. It's amazing. You're a motorized cultural canon that just keeps on going. So thank you very much for sharing all that with us. Right. So just to sort of change gears slightly now, I just thought to conclude the meeting with a reflection on Dave Myers, who was from Barrow. I don't know, did anyone here ever meet Dave? Does anyone know Dave? Patch, tell us about Dave.
I used to live with Dave's stepdaughter while I was at university. So for 3 years, I lived with Isa, who was a mate of mine. She went to Manchester Met University, did art. So I met Dave quite a few times over the years. Often when I'd be coming back from lectures and he'd just be in the house cooking, which is always one of the most exciting things to come back to, is not only someone cooking, but it be one of the hairy bikers cooking. So yeah, I met him quite a few times over the years, went to the pub together, did some pub quizzes, that sort of thing, went to go and see art shows and stuff. Really, really sound guy, like really, really top lad. So yeah, but really sad, I think.
That's stolen all my thunder plus more, Patch. What an amazing connection you had. And how lovely to hear that a celebrity cook actually cooked as well.
Oh no, he had the genuine love for it. And I think both of them did, Si as well, because I had the fortune of basically they do often come as a pair. It was quite funny that whenever it would be like Dave's going to come and see the art show, Si would also be there. They were a bit sort of joined at the hip. And they both had genuine love for cooking more than just being a chef, if that makes sense. I think there's so often in the world of food, you can have chefs that are like up here and the sort of the art of it and the highbrow stuff, but they were also just interested in sort of like the heartier end of cooking and the community aspect of that and bringing people together and the sort of just joy of food across the whole spectrum, which was lovely, like as you said, lovely to see that they still had the pleasure in it.
Yeah, very lovely stuff. Well, thanks for sharing that, Patch. Amy, if you'd just like to get that first picture up on the slides, and I'm just going to share a few pictures, and also I've got a little bit of film as well. So Dave Myers, one half of TV cooking duo The Hairy Bikers, has died at the age of 66, 2 years after revealing he had been diagnosed with cancer. He was from Barrow-in-Furness, and he found fame alongside Si King 20 years ago. The bearded pair were known for travelling around the UK and the world on their motorbikes, sampling and cooking food from different regions. And Si said he will miss him every day and the bond and friendship we shared over half a lifetime. Just got a little clip from the breakfast sofa of them talking about how they became friends. So if we could jump into that clip, Amy, and this is just a nice little clip, quite a recent clip of them talking about their friendship and how they got to become friends.
It's all about friendship with you two as well, isn't it? 32 years now.
32 years, yeah.
Yeah,
years.
way before the bikers started. Yeah, we were mates, tootling around on our motorbikes, eating far too much, and the odd drink. Things haven't changed much, have they?
No, dude, no.
What brought you together? What started that friendship? Did you know immediately, we're going to get on?
It was a curry.
Yeah, it was a curry and a poppadom, yeah.
Over a pool table in a pub in Newcastle. Who won?
Oh.
We didn't get that far. We
put our money on the table, and the only way you had to put your money on the table so you were next. And we just went, oh no, somebody else take the game, because Dave and I were just cracking on. And
we worked together.
It was on a, what was it? It was a
Catherine Cookson drama. So you both worked as crew.
Yes, of course.
And
yeah, it was great.
And I just got the job. You'd been there a while with the crew, and I just got introduced to everybody. I went down for lunch and met, and then he sold me a really bad motorbike. I'm still waiting to get half the money back.
All right, so if we just go back to the photos. So announcing the news on Thursday, yesterday, Si wrote, "I'm afraid I bear some sad news. Most of you will know Dave has been fighting cancer for the past couple of years. He passed away peacefully at home on Wednesday with wife Lily, family and close friends at his side. All who knew Dave are devastated at his passing. His beloved wife brought him such happiness, as did her children, Isa and Sergey, who Dave loved like his own. Personally, I'm not sure I can put into words on how I feel at the moment. My best friend is on a journey that for now I can't follow. I will miss him every day and the bond and friendship we shared over half a lifetime. I wish you Godspeed, brother. You are and will remain a beacon in this world. See you on the other side. Love ya." So he continued that Myers would want him to thank everyone who sent messages of support during his illness. We're eternally grateful for them. And he added, "May I ask you all for one further kindness and allow Lily, his wife, his family, close friends and I some time and some peace to process our huge loss. I'm sure I will see you all soon." So the pair's latest series, if we just go back to the photos, Amy, the pair's latest series, The Hairy Bikers Go West, started this month and sees them travel down the UK's west coast. And in the first episode, he told viewers it was a dream come true to be back on his motorbike, because he wasn't sure he'd ever get back in the saddle again. He says, there was a time I couldn't balance, I couldn't walk, I didn't think I'd be getting on a bike again. So they met in the 1990s and went on to become household names while presenting the Hairy Bikers Cookbook on the BBC from 2006. And that saw them ride across countries including Portugal, Romania and Namibia. And future series included the Hairy Bikers Ride Again, the Hairy Bikers Food Tour of Britain, the Hairy Bikers Mums Know Best, and the Hairy Bikers Asian Adventure, and Hairy Bikers Best of British. And that's them winning an award there in that picture. And they were honoured at the Fortnum & Mason Food and Drinks Awards in 2023. They published more than 30 recipe books, selling more than 6 million copies, and documented their weight loss in Hairy Dieters rather, How to Love Food and Lose Weight. And Dave also fronted a show called The Hairy Builder about historic buildings. Again, he gained a love of food at an early age from his mother, a crane driver at the local shipyard in Barrow, as well as an excellent cook. And his father was the foreman of a paper mill, and he'd take him on fishing trips on the back of his motorbike. But when his mum developed multiple sclerosis, the responsibility for food shopping and cooking fell to Dave around at the age of 12. And alongside his dad, he was a young carer for his mother. He says, in those days, there wasn't really much support for that. I think this was on Desert Island Disc, he said that. It was very hard, really. I've got a lot of sympathy for young carers today. And around that time, Dave developed alopecia, which doctors put down to the shock of his mother's illness. There's an irony as a hairy biker, he said. I had no hair, no eyebrows, no eyelashes. And he remained largely bald until his early 40s, when he had an operation to remove a cyst from his brain, which he suspected may have been the cause of the alopecia all along. My hair grew back complete as it is now with male pattern baldness. So that's the story of the unhairy hairy biker, he said. And after leaving home, he studied fine art at Goldsmiths in London before spotting an advert to train as a makeup artist at the BBC. He had little experience of makeup and was surprised to get the job. Much to my amazement, I turned up for work and I was the first male makeup artist at Television Centre. And he stayed there for 23 years, working on shows ranging from Doctor Who to period dramas, and was said to have once painted, famously, the white stripe on pop star Adam Ant's face. And it was while doing makeup for a TV adaptation of Catherine Cookson's The Gambling Man that Myers met King, who was employed as a second assistant director. And the pair got on like a house on fire, Sy says, and they began going on road trips to sample food in different places. And one day they had an idea. What if they filmed themselves on their foodie excursions? They pitched a TV show to several producers they'd previously worked with, and we never looked back, he said. And if we just go through the last photo of the little series of photos there, he met his future wife, Liliana Orzak, while filming the Hairy Bikers in Romania, and she was the manager of the hotel. He says, for many years, my biggest regret in life was the fact that I didn't have any children. But when I married Lil, I had this ready-made family with 2 stepchildren, and it brought me such joy. So that's Dave Myers. And he was a force for good, I think. And just listening to people over the last 24 hours talking about him, he wasn't just a famous bloke on the telly who did cooking. He was actually a really good guy by the sound of things. And he was one of ours. He was from Cumbria. So rest in peace, Dave Myers. And thank you, Patch, for those reflections as well. That was great to hear. I think we're done, unless anybody else has got anything else to say. I'm just catching up in chat there. Julie's got a exhibition of embroidery and weaving in Furness, and there's a website address there. We are looking forward to a nice weekend. Next week, by the way. Oh, by the way, Words by the Water. Leah from Words by the Water was going to come on this week. She's going to come on in 2 weeks' time. Words by the Water is coming back as a book festival to Keswick in June. And she's going to come as, she's the organizer of it. And she's going to come and tell us all about that in a couple of weeks' time. Fantastic that's coming back. I know there's a book festival coming to Cockermouth quite soon. I know there's a literary festival taking place in Maryport this weekend as well. So all sorts of stuff going on as far as books are concerned. And next week, we're also going to hear about the Forgotten Lands Festival, which is a music festival that takes place in Bewcastle, right in the north of Cumbria. We're going to hear about that amongst one or two other things as well. So that is the plan for a week's time. All sorts of bits going into chat as well there about various things. And there's the CACN YouTube channel where you can catch up on past meetings as well. Thank you very much to Bryan for this morning. Great to hear about your story and your project, Bryan. Thank you very much for telling us about that. Thanks to Kate for telling us about the training as well. And good to see you all on this not bad Friday morning. Catch you again next time.